Hey foodies, thanks for watching. Today I'm going to show you how to make a caramel popcorn. This stuff is the bee's knees. It's so good. And in most cases it's going to last up to about 2 weeks. My house, it'll be lucky if it lasts like 2 days. But that's because we just love this stuff so much. So I'm going to get started by melting some butter. And that's just going to melt. And when that's melted, we're going to continue. So while we're waiting, it's important to have 5 liters or 5 quarts of popped popcorn. This was about 1 cup of uncupped popcorn, just to give you an idea of how much popcorn you need to pop. And it's important to separate the kernels from the popped corn because I don't like biting into a hard kernel. So, and it doesn't take much to sift through it. You just have to lightly go through that, making sure that there's no kernels. And you're gonna want a really big bowl or 2 really big bowls to mix this up. Okay, so I've separated all that out. You can see just how many kernels I'm not gonna bite into, or my kids will bite into. Okay, so I'm gonna set that aside for a minute, and I'm gonna give the butter a stir. It's important to have your butter fully melted before you continue on to the next step. Okay, so my butter is all melted. I'm gonna carefully add my brown sugar, because I don't want it to splash me. And I'm gonna add in my maple syrup. My salt. And my vanilla. And then I'm going to give everything a good stir. And we're going to let it come to a boil. We're going to let it boil for about 90 seconds or so. So you can see it's just started to fully bubble all the way around. It's hit about the halfway point on my pot. And I'm just going to let it bubble a bit more. I'm going to keep an eye on it to make sure it doesn't overflow. It's important not to stir your pot too much because you want it to be nice and smooth and for the crystals not to develop too much. Okay, so it has been 1.5 minutes. I'm taking it off the heat. You can see it's bubbling like crazy. I'm going to set my spatula aside. And with a whisk, I'm going to whisk in my baking soda. And it's going to make it get really light and fluffy. Look at that transformation there. Really whisk it up so that all the baking soda dissolves and mixes up. Okay. Now we're going to pour this onto the popcorn. Oh my goodness. This looks a little bit like sponge toffee. And that's exactly pretty much how you make sponge toffee, but you just cook the sugar a little bit longer. Okay, and I'm just going to stir this up. I'll move my cloth. And now you want to just keep moving it until it's cool. So I'm going to do this for about 5 or more minutes. And when it's cool, we'll be able to try it. So I've stirred this about halfway through the process and it's still very warm. It's been about 3 minutes and you can see it's really coming together nicely. It's cool enough so it's not going to burn me anymore, which is nice. But at this point, if you want to add peanuts or raisins or cashews or pecans, things like that, this is the time to add it. You may even consider like oven roasting or pan roasting some of the nuts just to give them that really rich, full-bodied flavor, but you can also just leave it plain. Okay, so this is done. I actually ended up adding an extra 1/4 cup of unpopped kernels, and I popped that and added it to it because it was just a sea of sugar, and I thought I don't want to have a sugar rush just after a handful. So I thought it's nice having the odd one here and there that's not fully coated in sugar. But I want to give it a try and see how it is. I love the maple syrup. It's so flavorful and tasty. Have you ever made caramel popcorn? Let me know. Thanks for watching.